Hey everybody, it's been a while. I literally just had this opening because I was going to record just 2 minutes ago, and then I realized I fucked up the audio settings. But hey, whatever, we didn't miss nothing.
Insubstantial. The tail of it pulled out of the chalkboard,
Oh
the
boy.
thing fully in the room with us. I tried to kick on Sats, but my targeting spell faltered, unable to lock on. Whoosh. The rocket from Steelhoove's battle saddle arrowed past me, moving through the shadow cloud as if it was really just a shadow. The rocket struck the far wall in a loud explosion of fire, dust, and colorful debris. The blowback knocked me down, toppled bookshelves, through a table. The shadowy cloud barely reacted to it, its tendrils still reaching out towards each of us. I skittered back, away from the snaking shadow, certain of what would happen if it touched me. They eat your soul. Our weapons were useless against this creature.
That sucks.
No armor would stop it. I was no longer surprised.
That's why you gotta get a +1 weapon, little pimp. Those things are magical. They hurt ethereal creatures. God damn. That's like the most basic rule of anything. And that's why guns suck, because that means you have to get +1 bullets. And those things are expensive. Just do what Guts did and get a cool-ass, big, great sword and make that magical. You'll be fine. I'm sure you'll be fine.
That all the Steel Rangers who made it this far had perished here. Velvet Remedy cast her shield, wrapping the shadow cloud in her magic. It pressed its tendrils against the wall of the shield, the shadow molding over the surface, unable to get through. Velvet Remedy had contained it. No, them. The shadow was a swarm of tiny, jet-black necro-sprites. They could pass through solid objects, but not through magic fields. I shuddered shakily, releasing a breath I didn't realize I was holding.
Up there confirms it. They can't pass through magical fields because, magic is physical to them because they're ethereal. You just got to get like a magical anything. Like those bullets you had earlier, the ones that lit things on fire, those would have been great right now. Ah, shame you used them up. Better go find a sword or something. Wrong button.
I'll keep them contained, Velvet said. You all go on ahead. Pyrelight landed on her rump, looking insistent on staying. We nodded and ran off, leaving her holding the swarm. The book was here. In this room. I could feel it. I had been in Rarity's personal office before. It was much the same, although gnawed on by teeth of time. A dressed pony stood in one corner next to an ornate chest. There was a note attached to the chest, written in Rarity's elegant script. Thoughts on the dress. The goal is to create elegant yet functional armor of moderate weight and classical style. I've chosen a color scheme of amaranth and gold that harkens back to the dress that my beloved friends created for me for that first gala so long ago. In honor of my dearest and closest friend, I am drawing on my best skills at haute couture. The armored plating, particularly over the breast, will draw inspiration from the armor worn by the royal guards. I have woven a little magic into the dress. Although only the metal plating will stop bullets, cloth should hold up well against bladed weapons, as well as being resistant to wear and tear and general dirtying that I have come to expect from a battlefield or a gala. I jested that I might make the final version indestructible, but it was only a joke. I did, after all, tell Applejack that I would not do any such thing. And besides, the reaction from my top magician would have been enough to put me off the idea, even if I had been serious. He was right, of course. With what I've done, I most likely do not have enough soul left to spare even a little of it. Anyway, I am very pleased with my first pass, but the final dress needs to be even better, beyond mere perfection. The Grand Galloping Gala is still months away, so even with all the insanity here, I do have plenty of time. It is my most sincere hope that most, if not all, of my friends will be at the event this year. If so, I hope to convince them to allow me the honor of fashioning each one of them a similar, yet unique, elegant ministry mare armored dress. Normally, the gala would not be the venue I would choose to show off the first in what I would hope to be a new line of fashionable armor. But this year, Pinkie Pie is finally living her dream and has been put in charge of the event. So really, all bets are off. I floated out my screwdriver and bobby pin, picking the lock on the chest with relative ease. Opening it, I laid my eyes on the armored dress.
Burn it.
It was utterly beautiful.
Burn that evil fucking thing.
I thought you said the book was in the desk, Calamity said, flying up from behind me. Whoa, Nelly. Yeah, I whispered, pulling the armored dress out and looking it over. Little Pip, Calamity said timidly. Could I have that? I didn't know you liked to wear dresses. Steel's in tone as he
Don't
joined
judge
us.
him.
Calamity spun around in the air. I don't, he insisted. It's for velvet. I snickered as Steelhooves neighed mockingly. Of course you can, Calamity. She'll look exquisite in it.
That has the soul of people inside it. Okay, oh wait, hold on. Don't the statuettes also have soul? Yeah, but that's not necro. That's like weird, arcane magic. This is fucking necromancy and shit. And don't get me wrong, I am a necromancer in my heart of hearts, but that's just skeletons. Okay, that's really all the necromancy I want to learn. I don't want to learn, like, drain life. I don't want to learn how to raise zombies. All I want is to raise skeletons, because skeletons are cool. Like, just a legion of bone warriors. But, like, fuck that shit. Burn that dress. It's evil.
I passed the dress to Calamity and moved to the desk. I closed my eyes, drawing on the memory of how Rarity had opened the secret compartment. One of the gems embedded in the front of the desk concealed the lock. Opening my eyes, I extended my magic over the desk, moving aside the gem. I began to pick the lock, this time using just my magic. The
Cool.
lock was deceptively easy to pick, almost like the compartment wanted to be opened.
Oh, that's not good.
I slid open the hidden compartment.
That's not good.
There, laying amongst the papers and detritus like a sleeping dragon, was the Dark Tome. Perfectly preserved, its ancient pages filled with the most powerful and forbidden magic between covers of the blackest leather.
Okay, Lil Pip, what you gotta do is simple. You find the chapter that deals with skeleton armies. You read that shit, then you destroy that fucking thing.
I reached out with my magic. I felt a cold shock as I touched it with my meager ability, the book promising to unlock greater powers and mysteries that I never dreamed of.
Oh,
I
it's
didn't
the
have to
one
be a
ring.
one-trick unicorn anymore. With this book, I could be magic if I wanted to, powerful enough that I was worthy of being a bearer of that element. It was mine.
It's Boromir!
Velvet Remedy made her way to us slowly. Her horn was still glowing, and beads of sweat fell down her forehead. She was pouring most of her concentration into maintaining her shield, even though it was out of sight. Once we were outside, she would release it. The Necrosprite swarm hadn't left the Ministry building in over 2 centuries. We were hoping it wouldn't now.
Okay, K-Cat, that's actually a pretty awesome name, Necrosprite. That's actually really fucking cool.
I gave equal odds that either the magic woven into the Ministry walls that kept the pink cloud out also kept the swarm in, or that the swarm had remained here, drawn to the presence of the black book like moths to a lantern. I turned to stare at the pony-sized poster on the wall. I had seen it before on a massive billboard in Manhattan. I hadn't liked it much then. I liked it less, now that I actually knew a zebra. Ponies love laughter. Zebras do not understand joy and fear it. Ponies are honest. Zebras tell only lies. Ponies are loyal. Zebras will knife you in the back. Ponies are generous. Zebras are selfish and greedy. Ponies care about each other. Zebras care only about themselves. Okay, here's the plan, I said, knowing the others would not like this. Every pony else runs to the Ministry of Awesome. I'm going to slip into the Royal Castle and set off the gala fireworks. Alone? You're gonna what now? Not a chance. The very responses I expected. No, little Pip. Calamity said as he swooped close to me, backing me against the wall. I should do this. I'm faster, I'm more maneuverable, and I called it. This is my mission. I slipped out the MG Stealth Buck 2 and floated it before them. I can get in undetected, but it has to be me. Just me. I was the only one with a pit buck. There was no room for discussion. Ah, pony feathers. Calamity spit, bucking his hoof through the pony-sized poster. If you find the goddesses, Velvet Remedy said slowly, still concentrating. I frowned. I didn't want to find the princesses. My mind conjured nightmare images of their skeletons fused together in the throne room, and my heart stopped.
Oh boy!
Just for a moment.
I want to see this!
I wasn't sure I could handle finding them, seeing where they died. I certainly
Seeing your dead gods? That's some Lovecraft shit. I love that.
didn't want Velvet Remedy to bear witness of such a devastating horror. If I find the bodies of the princesses, that won't mean I've found the goddesses. They're transcendent souls.
Fuck
I
off!
ignored Calamity's snort. But you will tell me what you find, right? Velvet Remedy insisted. I really didn't want to. Promise me. I only nodded, feeling a tear form in my eye. I prayed to the goddesses that I wouldn't have to either honor that promise or break it. I begged them silently that I would find nothing. Calamity flew up to me again, this time with the pink gem in his teeth. He tossed it to me. Now you gotta promise me something, he said softly. You gotta promise you're gonna do this. See it through. I looked at him with surprise. I quickly nodded. Of course I would. I'm serious, little Pip. I really want it to be me. He lowered his head, looking ashamed. I know it in my heart, but my head needs convincing that we're still the good guys. I need this. I floated up the pink gem with its rune flaw. Then maybe you should hold on to this, I offered. That way, you'll know when it's done. Calamity shook his head. Look, as much as I'd love to, y'all might need it. Without it, how else will you know if it's worked, and y'all can come back? He looked away. No way I'm gonna leave you hanging there just to satisfy myself. I nodded again and tucked the gemstone away. Calamity flew silently ahead. We moved into the stairwell and descended. The black book radiated an unpleasant coolness through one of my saddlebags. I was beginning to question whether I was really intending to give this to Trixie. Maybe my plan, whatever it was, needed revision. Or maybe there was something inside the book that would take care of Trixie once and for all. What was it that Rarity told Applejack that the black book contained? Magic to tear souls apart. Maybe I could even save Twilight Sparkle. I hurled the black book against one of the pillars in the royal throne room. I floated out another healing potion and downed the contents, hoping it would relieve the pounding in my head and the tightness in my chest. The royal castle was filled with pink cloud, thicker than outside. It had rotted away the tapestries, turned the carpets and draperies into greasy residue, cracked and discolored the stained glass, and decayed the once royal furniture into collapsed heaps of debris. The golden fountain pools at the foot of the royal throne were tarnished beyond polishing, and stagnant with thick pink sludge. At least, there were no bones in here. No skeletons of Celestia or Luna. I knew I shouldn't have paused.
Damn!
I needed to keep moving. If I dallied, the pink would kill me. Or the Stealth Buck 2 would die, and the alicorns would kill me. But still, I had stopped, my curiosity strangling me, threatening to kill me with razor claws if I didn't at least look inside the book. Just a peek. I had stopped, telling myself I would just crack the cover open. That I was just making sure that Parasprites hadn't eaten the words right off the pages.
Yeah.
The black book was written in archaic zebra glyphs. Every damn page.
I fucking told you.
The book
Burn
wanted
it.
me to read it. I was sure if I studied it, the answers would come to me in dreams. But that didn't help me now. The little pony in my head was throwing a tantrum. Red lights moved about on my EFS compass. I clamped my muzzle closed, biting my lower lip. Stupid, stupid, stupid. I dashed over, retrieving the book, shivering at the frosty surge I felt from it whenever I touched it with my magic. 2 alicorns stepped into the throne room, their shields up. As far as I could tell, the alicorns in the castle never dropped their shields. They seemed more resistant to the pink cloud, but they were not immune. And with the cloud's concentration here, they were limiting their exposure. I crouched behind the throne, hiding even though I was invisible. I could feel the cloud eating at my insides, gnawing at my muscles, clamping down on my lungs and heart, seeping into my bowels.
Another
I already wanted
mutation?
another healing potion, but I had to hold off or I would run out. Princess Luna's private chambers couldn't be far. I could probably make it on a short gallop if these two would just leave. Or at least move so their shields weren't blocking the Celestia-damned doorway. "I don't see anything," one said, turning to her companion. "But I feel something. The room feels colder than it was before." What the hell? Was the Black Book a damned refrigerator? No, that made no sense. The safe it was in would have been freezing. Was the alicorn sensing something metaphysical? I suddenly wondered how Pinkie Pie would have responded to the proximity of the Black Book. "I feel nothing," the other said, at least partially confirming my suspicions. "We should inform Nightseer. She will know what to make of your sensitivity." The alicorns took one last look around. One of them walked up to the throne, tilting her head and looking straight at me. Through me. "There is nothing here," she said, turning back and rejoining her sister.
Fucking lucky.
"We go." The door to Princess Luna's chambers was sealed with a lock, almost identical to the one which had secured Princess Celestia's chamber back in her school. A very tricky lock, but familiarity helped me open it swiftly. I pushed open the door with a hoof, and stepped swiftly away as thick pink cloud rolled out in the hallway. The cloud was pulled in here in lethal concentrations. I could barely make out the ceiling, which I noticed formed a once beautiful mosaic of a light blue sky with wisps of clouds and a cheery sun.
Oh man, I just remembered Luna's bed is like a single, but it's shaped like a crescent moon, and it's fucking adorable. That's not going to be here. Damn.
I couldn't make out the far wall at all. I floated out a healing potion, drinking it. I felt it repairing my heart and lungs, taking the edge off the thudding in my head. My stomach settled. I took a deep breath. I charged into the room, my horn glowing to provide light. I was looking for the pressure switch for the gala. Immediately, my heart tried to seize. My lungs lost their cache of air, and as I began to choke, I felt like 1,000 tiny spiders had hatched in my intestines, and were spreading throughout my insides. I found her bed, closet, dressers, but I didn't see any switch. I dashed for the doorway as those spiders started to bite and sting. I slammed the door closed behind me, pulling out 2 healing potions and downing them. As my mind cleared, I realized I had only 1 healing potion left, plus a super restoration potion. I would need to make at least one more run through the room. I nudged open the door, stepping back. I lowered myself, preparing to run. A spot of red appeared on my EFS compass, stopping the motion. I moaned, shaking. I hoped the invisibility spell would hold out. The last thing I wanted right now was a fight. Come out, my little pony." The alicorn's majestic voice rang in my head, as well as my ears. I turned and watched as she ascended the staircase behind me and stepped into the room with me.
Is this their leader?
She was one of the forest green alicorns, but her coat was so dark it appeared sheer ebony. Her mane and tail flowed behind her like plasma, rippling in a non-existent
Cool.
wind. She wore armor made of bones, a
Awesome!
saddle fashioned from a pony's ribcage, with wing bones splayed out across her own.
Dude, that's fucking awesome.
From her neck hung a pony's skull, with an exceptionally long and slender horn. Thick wisps of pink cloud rolled along the floor from Princess Luna's chambers behind me, curling at my hooves. I felt myself trembling. The alicorn stopped, looking right at me, then looked about the rest of the room. Her horn glowed as she slid a small knife out of her armor. The knife hovered for a moment before whipping around, slashing 2 deep cuts across her own shoulders. The alicorn began to bleed. My eyes widened, but I couldn't stare at her self-inflicted wounds. My eyes were pulled back to the pony skull with its long, slender horn. The alicorn cast her spell, and the blood from her wounds began to drip upwards, flowing out into the air, swirling and pooling. Her eyes glowed as the twin pools of floating blood forged themselves into wicked, curving blades. I felt myself trembling again. Not with weakness, but with horror. I knew that horn. I had seen it before in a memory. "Sister, you called for me." The twin blood swords launched through the air, spinning, slashing at me. One glanced off my barding, bouncing away. The other left a deep wound across the left side of my neck. Blood began to pour down over my armor and left foreleg. I hissed in pain, staggering. "Oh yes, I see you, my little pony." The alicorn laughed from behind her shield. "Do you really think you can hide from knights here with your pathetic little invisibility toy? What a silly little pony."
Should have planted a
The
mine.
blood sword spun back through the air at me. I felt another chill as I pulled out the black book, deflecting one of the swords with it as the
Yeah!
other struck against my armor with enough force to bruise.
Yeah, use it as a fucking weapon and shield. That's fucking cool. I didn't. That's fucking cool.
The first sword disintegrated into flakes of ruddy powder as it rebounded from the book. "Oh? Well, what do you have there?" the alicorn purred. "What are you?" I grunted, feeling a wave of weakness and nausea. I was losing blood. I needed to take the healing potion before I bled out. But the other blade of blood slashed around. I cantered out of the way, the edge barely missing my muzzle. I floated the black book up, trying to strike it, but the blade dodged away, returning to its mistress. I tried to keep my eyes locked on the blood sword, but my gaze slid from it, latching again on the sight of that skull. That
You gotta
slender
get
horn.
over that.
This is going to be the Luna Academy for Young Unicorns. A magical school of my very own. Just like yours. The ribs, the wings, the skull with its slender horn. I knew they were all from the same pony. The blade straightened out and shot straight at me, aiming between my eyes. At the last moment, I magically tossed the book in front of my face. Red mist poured around its edges, the sword dissolving as it struck the black leather cover. "I believe I'll be taking that." Nightseer focused, wrapping her magic around the book. Her shield faltered for a moment, and she felt the cold shock of the book's aura. But only for an eye blink, not long enough for me to use it for an advantage. "You dare?" I was trembling even harder now, but not from weakness or horror. The alicorn took the black book, easily prying it from the grip of my telekinesis. But I didn't care. The black book was nothing to me. Nothing compared to what Nightseer wore around her neck like a trophy. "And you die," she said casually, almost yawning as she took the book for herself. Motes of magic formed about her, fashioning themselves into eldritch knives. My legs gave out. I dropped to my knees. They splashed in a thin pool of my own blood that was becoming saturated with pink. My lungs were burning. My head throbbed harder. I didn't care. The
Yeah.
unwavering. I focused on that
Kill the
skull
bitch!
with its long, slender horn. The host of magical knives darted through the air at their target. Nightseer glanced down as she felt her necklace shift. With a telekinetic thrust,
Yes!
it drove Luna's horn through the soft tissue under Nightseer's muzzle,
Yeah!
up into her brain. She twitched once, the spark of life remaining in her just long enough for the eldritch knives to strike home.
Oh.
Most evaporated against my new barding, but several of them sunk in deep before vanishing along with Nightseer's shield spell as the alicorn crumpled to the ground. No healing potions left. No super restoration potions left. Almost every unarmored part of my body wrapped in healing bandages. I faced Princess Luna's private chambers. The room filled thickly with pink. The black book was once again in my saddlebags. But my sense of obsession was fading, overpowered by other emotions. Just like the chill from the book was overpowered by the heat of the fire behind me. I had stripped Luna's bones from Nightseer, and I was burning them. It was the only semblance of a proper burial I could offer her now. I faced Princess Luna's private chambers, and I continued to pray. The smoke from the fire behind me curled around me,
Your
black
gods
and
are
acrid.
dead.
The pink cloud
Oh,
floated out
that's
of the door in
fucking
front
awesome.
of me in wisps. The smoke pushed its way inside as more of the cloud flowed outward, forcing me to slowly step back until I could almost feel the heat of the fire breathing against my tail. I jumped as I heard a boom of thunder from inside Princess Luna's chambers. The ceiling mosaic had changed, the puffy white clouds growing thick and dark. A moment later, it began to rain inside of Luna's room, the sudden deluge washing the pink out of the air. I heard it gurgling out of small vents in the floor. Shaking, I began to laugh. I looked upward and shouted, "Thank you!" The goddesses had heard me and answered my prayers. Either that, or this was the most peculiar design for fire protection ever. Galloping into the pouring rain, I looked about. Finding the switch was easy now. I threw my hooves against the pressure plate, then spun to face the chamber's only window, jumping up onto the dilapidated remains of Luna's bed to keep my hooves out of the pink water that flooded the floor. Outside the window, I could hear pops and bangs. A ribbon of glittering golden light shot into the air and burst into a prismatic spray of light. I fished out the pink gemstone, just in time to see its soft glow fading. Success! The gem's light died, and I saw the rune inside had burned out, replaced by a blackened smear within the stone. I jumped on Luna's bed, squealing with glee as another light exploded outside of the window, showering down on Canterlot with all the colors of Celestia's flowing mane. I knew there were more fireworks going off that I couldn't see. Many more. For a moment, the thunderous explosions rivaled the sound of 100 steel hooves firing away. Then they exceeded it. I shifted away from the window, eager now to get back to my friends. On the opposite wall, I saw them. A collection of Ministry Mare statuettes. All 6, gathered together, just like they should be. Lined up in a crystal display case. I realized that only Luna and Spike had kept intact collections. Even Rarity had separated the ponies in her set, giving herself to her sister Sweetie Belle, keeping Fluttershy with her wherever she went. I wrapped my magic about the case, taking it with me. "Will you look at all of this stuff?" Calamity said with a tone of awe. Watcher had told us that the Ministry of Awesome had been repurposed as a warehouse, but I had never pictured this. The interior walls had been knocked out. The entire building was a gigantic black void filled with seemingly endless rows of crates, filing cabinets, and metal boxes. The rows were divided into clear sections that stretched the length of the building, each section filling with containers painted in a single color. Small diamond-shaped lights hung from the ceiling at intervals, many of which had burnt out. The effect was like staring down the length of a rainbow under a black sky sprinkled with stars. "Are y'all seeing all of this?" "Yes," Velvet said, staring. "Can we just—" "No, Calamity," I answered. It would take forever, and there was no way we could carry it all. "How about just one row?" Calamity pleaded. "No, we can't, Calamity." I looked about. What we're looking for is behind a shield, and behind defenses. I don't think it's in this room, which means it's probably below us.
And I'm cutting it there, because we're at the 30-minute mark. Okay, expect more videos this week, because fuck, I gotta get back on.